friends, welcome to the Peartree Cutfiles first birthday celebration haul. I've used the beautiful hearts and rainbows cut file to create this layout. Let's start in Silhouette Studio and I'll show you a couple ways for using the file and how I created my background. So I started by deciding how big to make my background and then made a copy of it, Command C, Command V. I released the compound path of the cut file on the mat so I could drag away and erase everything around one rainbow and one heart. I wanted to isolate these items so that I could work with them. So here we have our two items. I'm going to erase everything else and I want to group the rainbow so that I can use the offset feature at 0.90 to make an outline. And I've used the outline to back all the rainbows with my chosen pattern paper. And you'll see that in my video coming up. Now let's say you wanted to place layered hearts in the heart opening. Just copy the heart and make each a little smaller than the other. I've shown 3 here. And you could put those together, maybe stitch up the middle with your sewing machine or hand stitching. And that would add a lot of nice texture to a layout using this cut file. Now what if you want to back all 15 rainbows with beautiful color? Take your bands and using your offset feature at 0.090, you could create 15 of each band from either pattern paper or pretty cardstock and paper back each rainbow individually. I like to save these pieces after in my library, so anytime I open this file, I'll have all 3 options ready to go and design with. So I used the backing piece I just made to cut out a beautiful rainbow paper from the Pinkfresh Just a Little Lovely collection. So using the piece I made for backing the rainbow in Silhouette Studio, I placed one behind each of the 15 rainbows in the cut file and then moved the cut file off the mat. So I sent that to cut on my Cameo, and this allowed me to get rainbow backing in the same order as this beautiful rainbow paper. So I was pretty happy with the results, and just another way of backing the cut file rather than backing each band, I chose a rainbow paper and using the same order filled it up with the cut file I made in Silhouette Studio. So many choices for rainbow paper too. And here's the result. I've decided to stitch inside the hearts, and so I'm taping down the cut file so it doesn't move and just tracing with a pencil each heart. After that, I can go and manually make holes for stitching. I originally thought I'd do it in white, but you'll see coming up that I actually chose 5 colors. I like the uneven number. White would have been pretty too, but I do like how it turned out with color. The mat that I use is just a large piece of foam. It's pretty sturdy and can hold up your paper well, and just a stick pin. And the trick is just trying to make the same number of holes on both sides of the heart so it looks balanced. So I went ahead and did that for all 15 hearts, and then I took the colors that matched the background and wrote the last 2 numbers of that color in the heart I wanted to use it in. I was doing tone on tone, so yellow with yellow, peachy cream with peachy cream, and so on. So I like the chain stitch, I like the texture it adds, and I can do it quite quickly. I watched 4 episodes of The Mentalist while I did the stitching, and I'm just going to do a quick demo of the chain stitch here for those of you who haven't seen it before. And I'm using all 6 strands of the DMC floss, and I like to start in the top middle of the heart, and I do 1 stitch and then come back and pass the needle underneath that. And so into the heart, center hole at the top, and back down through the next hole. Come up the next hole, go under your first stitch, Sometimes you have to let the thread wind out. Just let it dangle. So back through the hole you came from. Do a couple more. So in the next hole, under your previous stitch, and back down through the hole you came from. Once you've stitched all around your heart, you'll be back at your first stitch. Double it up, and it won't be a true chain stitch, but it will look like one, and finish the heart. So I'm so glad I chose color. It turned out really pretty. You see it on my desk here. I'm going to start by popping up a photo that I framed with Pinkfresh dies. They are called the Stitch Scalloped Rectangles, and I'm pretty smitten with them. I love the way you're able to combine two colors into one frame. Now the bow I'm adding is also cut from a Pinkfresh die called Artistic Bows. And if you don't recognize this collection, it's called Happy Blooms. It's by Pinkfresh, and I think it's the most gorgeous collection that they've ever come out with. Now I used 3 of their floral die cuts, topped and layered with some fussy cut blooms from another paper in the collection, just to create some depth and extra texture and fill out the die cuts. So I wanted to create 3 distinct vignettes around my photo to create that visual triangle. This piece I trimmed off some of the white space around the die cut just to fit around my photo better, and then I popped it up with double-sided foam tape. So I'm keeping all the pretty things in the top left of my layout, so the work I did on the background can shine through on the bottom right. So when I'm adding ephemera around a photo, quite often part of that ephemera will cover the photo, like this little floral bouquet. It's kind of fit around Jim's head. I think this helps really integrate your photo into your design rather than really having it stand off on its own, and it adds the interest and texture and layers that you want to build around your photos. I also keep in mind that some of the ephemera will be tucked in under your photo. Some of the ephemera I like to place over the photo, and I think this looks a lot more natural than popping up everything or tucking everything underneath. Keep it varied and interesting. At the same time, want to keep in mind consistency. In this layout, I fussy cut 2 flowers from another piece of paper for each piece of floral ephemera, and I think that makes for a nice balance as I look around my finished layout. It's a bit of a design preference, and of course, there's no rights or wrongs in scrapbooking. It's more about being true to your own style and incorporating inspirations from other designers that you enjoy. So I'm working on another collage in the upper right hand corner to finish off my visual triangle, and the ephemera piece that I've used here says happy moments spent together, which was perfect with my photo. I'm adding a pear die cut from the ephemera pack, and I've built up another floral bouquet with some fussy cut flowers, and I'm going to put this all together and pop up the whole thing with some double-sided foam tape, and this will complete my visual triangle. I want to just take a moment to thank Marie for inviting me on the hop to celebrate their first birthday, and I'll have a link in the description box so you can follow along and enjoy all the creatives for this first birthday celebration. So any guesses on what my title might be? Hint, it has to do with the pear, and I'm adding another piece of ephemera. It says anywhere with you is my happy place. We were traveling through the Rocky Mountains on a birthday celebration on the Rocky Mountain Railway tour, and let me just say, it's pretty awesome. If you ever get to Canada and want to travel through the mountains, this is the way to go. Oh, I guess figuring out my title wasn't too hard with the word perfect sitting off on the side. I've used letters from this collection as well as Let's Stay Home, another Pinkfresh collection, because I wanted to include some yellow, and there wasn't any yellow in the Happy Blooms collection. Even though the fonts are in different sizes, I think that added a little whimsy and I went with it. So you've probably heard about using odd numbers on a layout. It always looks a little better than even numbers, and this is why I'm adding 3 butterflies, placing them in a triangle on my page, tone on tone. One of them I'm popping up, the other two I just added using liquid glue. So the final item I always add to my layout is a little sparkle, a little glitter. It's not for everyone, but I don't think a layout is finished until you add your shine. And I pulled out a few things that I thought would match nice. Pretty much stuck with the Pinkfresh gems. I really like the keepers they come in. There's a sturdy zipper and they store nicely in a little dish near my craft space. And besides that, I added some gold stickles and a little dots of gold paint I applied with a paintbrush. And that pretty much finishes off my layout. Thanks so much for joining me here. Thanks again, Marie, for inviting me to your celebration hop. Please follow the links in the description box, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.